Welcome to a playoff edition of 4th and 1. Nick, I usually start off the show with a lot of energy. I usually am shouting. People say that I'm very loud.
Yeah, no, you sound like you're in a library right now.
I feel like people always talk about how very loud I am. But the reason I feel like it's important for me to have this tone for this podcast is because I knew all along. I never had a doubt in my mind that the Chiefs were winning this football playoff game. Right?
Okay.
You had that same confidence, right?
Oh no, I definitely didn't have that confidence, and I'm gonna double down on my negativity next week.
Oh my God, I can't.
Then I'll triple down if they can make it all the way.
Man, all right. So, well, I know I said on the last podcast that, when you were talking about, how all you wanted was them to win this game and play in a championship for Pat to get that experience.
Yeah.
And anything else was gravy. And I was like, no, not even a chance, man. Like they're in this position, you might as well go for the win. Now, if you're just gonna be negative about it, Nick, then I don't want a Super Bowl. Okay. If it's 3 weeks of negativity, then no. The city must continue to suffer.
They got to where I needed them to go this year to be happy. So
look, let me just put it this way: if I had told you before the game, Patrick Mahomes is not going to throw for a touchdown in this game, and one of the teams is not going to convert a third down. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking, Chiefs had a bad day.
Yeah. Man, yeah. I mean, it's serious. Patrick Mahomes did not throw for a touchdown. First time all season? Or was there another game? Maybe there's another game. Maybe I'm not thinking of one.
I can't remember if he had one in the Jaguars passing wise.
Yeah, I'm not thinking of one. I'd have to go back and look at his game log. I should have done that before the show. I should have been prepared, but I clearly wasn't. But man, I mean, so okay, I just got to ask, what's your enduring image? I mean, obviously this is pretty quick after the game. We both had to work, so maybe we didn't get to digest the game as much as we would have liked to. But what's the enduring image for you from the Chiefs' 31-13 victory against the Indianapolis Colts? A victory that exercises 25 years of I mean, that's a quarter century, man. 25 years worth of demons. And that 0-4 record against the Colts. So what stands out most? What are you going to remember most? If you build a statue about this game, what's it of?
That they won. That's the first thing that they came through and they won. And there was times during that game whenever you were watching it and you got nervous because you felt like
I did not.
Well, I certainly did. Where you saw the Colts just lingering around, and then you saw the blocked punt. And
actually, I was going to say, let me rephrase. When the block punt happened, and all of a sudden it's 17-7, and the Colts had done nothing the entire game up to that point, and all of a sudden, there's a protection communication issue. The MVP of the team gets the ball taken right off his foot, and they score and they score a touchdown. I thought, oh man, if this thing turns around, we're never going to hear the end of this one. And so that was the only time. But when the offense went right down and scored a touchdown after that, I was not nervous.
Oh, I was nervous until there was 2 minutes left. They could have been up 54-0. I still would have been nervous.
I mean, Nick, and I tweeted it. They were up by 17 points at halftime. I mean, home teams don't blow 17 points.
I know, and you kept saying that throughout the newsroom, and I told you to stop talking.
Why? Is it because like a year ago they blew an 18-point lead at home?
No.
That was too many points. They got that extra point. They got cocky against the Titans with an 18-point lead, 17-point lead. You maintain your composure a little bit better in the locker room.
Okay. Sounds great. Whatever your theory is, I'm just going to go with it if it involves you not talking about it anymore.
Look, my theory is that the team is just different with Patrick Mahomes. I think that and look, I don't think the offense was great in the second half.
No, they struggled the whole second half. They really did.
But I don't think it was play calling. And the other thing was the Chiefs. The one thing that I've been impressed with as much as anything about Mahomes this year is even when he has a bad play, even when things don't go well, his ability to counterpunch and his ability to get up off the mat, even if the team's got knocked down a little bit, and do some damage back, has been really impressive to me. I mean, whether you're talking, and it seems to be in whatever setting. I mean, and so the blocked punt happens, they march down, they get a touchdown, they get those points right back, And in the second half, I mean, it was 24-7 the entire third quarter, and almost 10 minutes into the fourth quarter before that touchdown pass from Luck to T.Y. Hilton. And then all of a sudden, even after Vinatieri misses the extra point, you're thinking, you're thinking, oh man, there's just a lot of time. Maybe you're thinking about the Chargers game, when it's similar situation and they found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, whatever it is. But when the offense just marched right back down and shoved it down their throat, that was it. The game was over when they scored that touchdown. And for me, that's why the enduring image of that game for me is Darrell Williams getting stood up at the half yard line, and Mahomes running in behind and helping push him over the goal line. Because to me, even though he didn't have any he did rush for a touchdown, but even though he didn't throw any touchdowns, even though the offense wasn't amazing in the second half, even though they were only 4 of 14 on third down while the Colts were 0 of 9, Patrick Mahomes, I think, was that extra little bit that put him over the top. Patrick Mahomes was that extra little bit that kind of nudged them into the end zone, into the next round, and into the first AFC Championship game in the history of Arrowhead next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes did his part, and even more so, and he continued to push his teammates to be accountable and continue to try to finish that game out. And I know he was getting frustrated at times that they weren't able to click and be able to get it done, and had some penalties there and got behind the sticks to where they had some unfavorable down and distances.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and some other things I took away from watching the game is, one, Andrew Luck looked really sluggish, and I know I kind of heard through the grapevine that he was sick in their production meeting yesterday. Whenever NBC met with him,
did Oliver tell you that?
No, I never reveal my sources.
That's Oliver's Andrew's dad.
I'm aware of who he is.
That was for the viewers out there, in case any of them didn't know who Oliver was.
Well, you were staring right at me. So.
Well, you're the only person in the room. I'm sorry. Was it Oliver? All right. Was that better since I wasn't looking at you that time?
Yeah, but nobody listening right now understands that. So we're just going to move on from that. But he did look sluggish, and the things I took away when I was watching him on tape before this week is he's throwing the ball lower than he used to before the shoulder injury, and I knew he was really susceptible to, if you got in the passing lanes, you can knock him down, and the Chiefs did that a bunch.
Yeah, especially early.
Yeah, so you were able to do that if your rush couldn't get there. Then the second thing was the field. In my opinion, the field conditions started from them being on it and the wear and tear. It really started to kind of you kind of noticed it by third quarter. Some guys slipping and sliding a little bit more.
I don't know. I mean, guys were sliding early. I mean, Tyreek Hill slid on the first punt return. So I mean,
I'm saying there's just some.
I think it got worse. Yeah.
I think there were some areas where it was more noticeable, and when Mahomes had his knee issue, I thought they were smart about how they handled it. They tried to run the ball more at that point to avoid.
33 carries, 180 yards. That was crazy.
So I thought they did. I thought they managed that well, because they also tried to keep him from really having to try to move around and run around in the pocket and try to get the ball out quick, 2.5 seconds, catch the ball, throw. And I thought they managed that really well. So those aspects are fantastic, but obviously the defense answered the call multiple.
Okay, let me ask you something. More surprising, Patrick Mahomes throws 0 touchdowns, or the defense had 4 3-and-outs to start the game?
The defense in general, well, not just that they held the Colts to 0-9 on third down. Like that, that's insanely impressive. What the defense did was phenomenal. They gave them a bunch of looks, and I know whenever I look at coach's film, I'll see it. But they mixed up their coverages to where the Colts didn't recognize some things that they thought they saw on tape. And here's where I will nitpick the Colts. I didn't feel the Colts were very committed to the run today.
No,
when they needed to be, with that being their strength.
14 carries for 87 yards. Yeah. But we talked about how if the Chiefs could jump on them early,
right,
and they did. They were up 17-0 early in the second quarter, really put them on the ropes. I think the Colts panicked, and they started passing the ball way too much when the run was still there. But that's why we talk about the need for a fast start, and you saw it today. It paid off huge.
Yeah, it did for the Chiefs to be able to win, because in all honesty, if I was the Colts head coach, I would have just kept running the ball, especially in the first half, because you're still within distance, and especially after that blocked punt. You're right there to where I would have stayed committed to it and forced them to stop it on a regular basis. And the Colts, for whatever reason, former Chiefs assistant Nick Sirianni and Frank Wright together, they really I felt they dropped the ball on their end. And if I would be one of their fans, I'd be frustrated with that aspect of it. But I mean, the Colts, they did what they could with the talent that they have, and they played their scheme. So I'm not going to fault the defense on there. They did what they could against Mahomes and that Chiefs offense.
I'll tell you what, I still think that is a franchise that's on the rise. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that's not the last Andrew Luck, Patrick Mahomes playoff battle that we've seen.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility, depending what happens down the road here. I think that could be down the road. I think that's going to be the next Brady Manning in the AFC.
Yeah. Brady Manning, or Brady Roethlisberger.
Something along those lines.
I agree. I mean, I think
Roethlisberger may be a good comparison because of the size and the fact that Luck will take hits from time to time, like Big Ben would.
But that was another thing. And look, we'll get to it a little bit more when we talk about the defense. Right now, hey, let's take you inside the locker room. Let's hear from some of the guys. Just what it's like to be going to the AFC Championship game. We got Clark Hunt, we got Justin Houston, we got Chris Jones and Travis Kelce.
I couldn't be more excited. It's been a long time coming. It's something I think as an organization we feel we should have accomplished in recent history. Since Andy came here, we've had a lot of shots. But finally, we get a chance of winning that AFC Championship, and to get to do it at home is so special for us.
I think this is big. To even play in the AFC Championship game, that's big for us. And for the city, I know the city been waiting a long time for this opportunity, so I just hope they come out and rock the crowd so the offensive line can't hear.
About time. It's been a while. 25 years, huh? I wasn't even born then. It's been, this is a new era of football. This is a new era of Chiefs. I know the community is stoked about this, the organization, everyone is excited, but we got to get used to this feeling.
It feels awesome. It feels, we're just happy for every single guy in this locker room. I mean, we've worked extremely hard just to get to this point, and give ourselves another chance to play in the National Football Week next Sunday.
How good does that feel, Chiefs fans? They get to play next Sunday, and we're talking about the playoffs. Because I'll tell you what, man,
not the playoffs. Talking about the championship.
But I'm just talking about the playoffs in general, man. Because
that's true.
In the previous, the Chiefs were 1-11 in the previous 12 postseason games. They'd lost 6 in a row at home, and that streak got snapped. But they were only 1-5 during that span in road playoff games too. I mean, the misery index for the Chiefs in the postseason is almost unfathomable, especially when you start sprinkling in, the 28-point blown lead in 2013, especially when you factor in what happened last year, especially when you factor in, a defense that doesn't give up a touchdown and the phantom holding penalty, whatever you want to call it, on Eric Fisher in 2016, and not being able to force a punt in 2003, and just everything that's gone into that, the last 25 years. But I mean, Chris Jones is right. I think my favorite quote of all of those was when Chris Jones says, "We got to get used to this feeling, man." Because I really do think that's what the mood of this team is, and whether Patrick Mahomes is getting too much credit for that or not, I do think that there's a different feel about right now, and I think the ghosts that have haunted the fan base, I think the ghosts that have haunted the franchise are gone, and you could see it and hear it in Clark Hunt's voice.
Clark, I will say, from watching and listening to Clark Hunt's press conference, that's the most excited I've ever seen that man since he got Andy Reid here. And I know he was excited whenever they got Mahomes too. But I know deep down in my heart what that meant for Clark to be able to have this, one, at Arrowhead, and two, the opportunity. Because I know his ultimate goal has always been, and I've heard him mention it before, that he wants to get that Lamar Hunt trophy for him and his family.
The trophy, his dad's name is on the trophy they're playing for next week. And you better believe the man writing the checks for those players is going to bring that up. That, hey, this is my dad's trophy. I want it, guys.
I mean, I think you can say it in a better way.
No, I say it just like that, Clark.
but yeah, could you imagine that moment for him to be able to?
Oh man,
what it would mean for any, and think about this, not just in Clark, but imagine you own a business, a franchise, or something. And there's an award that's named after a family member of yours, whether it's a mom, dad, a grandparent, whatever, and they're handing you the trophy that's named after them to recognize your excellence that you were able to reach.
Yeah.
I hope he gets that moment. I hope that family gets that moment. I hope that team gets that moment. And I hope the city gets that moment.
I'm telling you. I used to Jason Dunn, if you remember, hulking tight end,
awesome blocking tight end
that they used to have for the Chiefs. I used to talk to him a lot back when I was at the Chanute Tribune during the Dick Vermeil era.
Yeah.
And bonus points if you know where Chanute is, people, because I didn't before I got the job there. I'll be honest. But I used to talk to Jason. He was one of the guys I used to talk to a lot in the locker room on game days and stuff like that. And he, even back then in 2001 to 2006, talked all the time about how important it was to the guys in that locker room and to that franchise to chase that Lamar Hunt trophy. And obviously they didn't get it while
close.
Lamar they had some teams that were capable, but they didn't get it while Lamar was alive. So yeah, you know how much that next week is going to mean, especially the first time they get the chance to play for that trophy in Arrowhead Stadium. I mean, heck, man, they've only played for it one other time because, the other two times they've been in conference championships, whatever you want to call it, was pre-merger.
Right.
So they've only played for the Lamar Hunt Trophy once, and they lost that game, at the Bills. Back during that run when the Bills were going to four straight Super Bowls, losing them all, but still going.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be next. You thought this weekend was cool. Next weekend, hopefully minus the snow, will be even more epic. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back on 4th and 1. Welcome back to 4th and 1. Todd Palmer joined by Nick Jacobs. And, man, we usually spend a lot of time talking about the offense. And we did talk a lot about Patrick Mahomes and his impact. But we got to give props to the defense. We've been hard on the defense, and justifiably so. And look, I was skeptical when they beat the Raiders 35-3. I thought it was shade and fraud. I'll be perfectly honest. I thought it was a team that – their real Super Bowl had been Monday night in Denver when they upset them 6 days before. That team was more interested in where what beats they were heading to the next day or that night maybe when they got beat 35-3. But boy, that defense came out and took it to a Colts team that has been on a roll.
That's the best performance the defense has had all year, hands down. Yeah. I mean, you can't. For me, you can't give me another time where it was as on point as that, except maybe the Raiders at the end. So
Bengals game, they waxed them too.
That's true, but I'm just saying I haven't seen.
I don't think the Bengals are nearly as good an offense as that. The Colts are capable
not as
of being.
The Colts, because I'm holding the Colts at a different level than the Raiders and the Bengals.
Although I mean,
offense.
Andy Dalton, sick Andrew Luck, are they comparable?
Stop. But, man, that defense, it came out there. It was aggressive. It did what it could to control the line of scrimmage, and they mixed up their coverages. Really impressive overall.
I'm not always a big believer in, like, one play. I'm not, like, setting the tone. I think a lot of times that stuff's overstated. I think because my fear was always, hey, man, they're getting, the Chiefs got that stop on the first drive, and I thought, yeah, watch them. They won't get another stop the rest of the half. But I will say, man, I think everybody in the building – everybody knew the Colts were going to come out and try to run it right down the Chiefs' throat, right? And when they hand the ball off on the first play and D Ford drops them for a 3-yard loss, and all of a sudden they're behind the sticks, you get the 3 and out, you get the touchdown. I do think in this case that got the ball rolling. That set the fuse on the powder keg of the party Saturday at Arrowhead.
I personally felt it was the second and third time they did it. First one, you get a tone setter, but whenever you repeatedly are able to do that, and it wasn't based on a turnover, that's when I know you're starting to make a statement. So they went out there and they had the Colts confused, and they took advantage of the opportunities the Colts gave them. And I mean it's a scheme and a defensive stuff that I personally haven't seen before.
No, and look, I mean
from them.
Hey, 3rd and 10, they're bringing double A gap blitzes. I think that do you take full credit for some of that? I mean, some of the blitzes they're bringing.
I think they watched the coach's film too, but it was on Eye in the Sky on our Red Alert show in package form, and then it was also on the website.
Yeah,
so,
but I mean, you saw it 3rd and long, stuff like that.
Right.
They got aggressive. They did the things they needed to do to make sure that Colts team stayed uncomfortable. And look, I think we need to talk about Charvarius Ward just for a second and just what he's brought to the team. 4 passes defended. He's obviously made a difference there. You know, he's not committing the penalties. You know,
that's been the biggest thing. There's not as many holding penalties, and he's in good position and doesn't panic.
Yeah. And look, he's growing into this role, and so hey, you know, I mean, I think we were a little when we saw him the last 2 games of the season, thinking, why haven't we seen this kid before? Maybe we should give credit to the coaching staff that they knew kind of what the kid needed, because he came up huge in the playoff game today, I thought. Let's just hear from Justin Houston, Chris Jones, D Ford, and Kendall Fuller about what they thought about the defensive performance against the Colts.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Like you said, I've been on a lot of great units. I just think we gelling together. We're on the same page when we make our rush and make our moves. So as long as we together and we rushing on the same page, the best is yet to come.
We knew that was going to be good. We knew we had to get Andrew Luck off his pivot, making sure he don't get comfortable in the pocket. And, you know, we just rush our butts off. You know, Justin Houston, D4, my guys came up big.
We just understood the challenge at hand earlier in the week. And we were rolling too on defense. And so we wanted to carry that momentum from Oakland into this game. And we understood the challenge, and we showed up.
I mean, we was just giving them different looks, but at the same time keeping it simple. You know, just trying to make them think and, you know, just drop back, think, give our rush time to get there, play some good coverage, and we worked hand in hand.
All right, that was Justin Houston, Chris Jones, D Ford, Kendall Fuller talking about what made a difference. And look, as we record this, we don't know whether it's going to be the Patriots or the Chargers, because that game hasn't taken place yet. But I think the beauty of what happened is the Chiefs finally put some stuff on tape that's going to make whoever they play think. They're going to have to think, oh, man, what are they going to come up with this week? Because they showed some stuff that maybe we hadn't seen.
Right.
They broke some tendencies, and they got a little bit more aggressive, and it made a difference. And I think, especially when you look at teams that are probably going to lean pretty heavily, because obviously the Chiefs have already played both the opponents they could face. They're going to lean pretty heavily on what they know.
Right.
But maybe you know, Andy and Bob and Bob Sutton and the coaching staff, you know, have a little sweet butterscotch in a better way for Chiefs fans.
I do expect there to be a new game plan next week and have some different stuff that the opponent hasn't seen throughout the season. And I do think if next week, we'll get into that later, but I do think there will be some wrinkles there.
So what was the difference in your mind today? I mean, is it as simple as Patrick Mahomes, or is that overstating it, to the way that they kind of brushed aside all that bad juju?
In all honesty, I think the difference was that the defense was relentless, and they refused to quit and refused to settle.
Well, but they've had relentless defenses.
They refused to settle.
In past games.
They honestly didn't let up once, and defensively they didn't. And then the other thing was that final drive. And this is what I talked about in a very much bigger rant recently on this podcast.
Did you rant?
I said some words angrily. But
by the way, I want you to critique my rant from earlier when we get done here, okay?
Oh, okay. But anyways, no. See, you know, I almost forgot my train of thought because you like to interrupt, make jokes.
I do. But no, we're talking about the difference from years past.
And the other part was the offense needed that. The defense needed to make some stops, and then the offense needed that drive. And if you think about last year, the defense didn't make that necessary stop against the Titans that they needed. They got run over. Yeah. They didn't make some of the stops against Brady a couple years ago that they needed to make.
2015.
The Colts, they didn't make a couple of the stops that they had to. And offensively, the Chiefs did let up. It appeared that they let up, and part of it was just execution issues and stuff
in years past.
In years past, yes. And then today, the offense finished that final drive when they needed to put the dagger in after the Colts answered with the touchdown. They went down there, they drove that football, they ran it down their throat, and then they had the big moment where the whole team was helping, like you said, push them in the end zone. The defense not letting up and making some big stops, because there was times this year where the defense didn't make the stop in the Patriots game or the Rams game or some other games that they They needed them to make it, and they didn't do it. But they did today when it mattered. So as long as they're doing it matters, that's half the battle right now.
All right, well, let's hear from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce on what they thought made the difference, man.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing was finishing the game at the end. We've been in those situations this year, and I feel like we haven't executed to our standard. And for us to go out there and finish that game with those big runs, especially that last one, I mean, it shows the attitude and effort that you'll need in order to win football games.
They were a heck of a defense. They fly around. That we couldn't hurt ourselves by getting behind the sticks because they keep everything in front of them, and that's what we kind of got stuck in the third quarter there. But at the same time, we saw that there were some holes over the middle, and really there were some holes in the defense in general. So I mean, that's why we got off to such a hot start. But at the end of the day, it's just it's hats off to this defense. I mean, our defense played their tail off, giving up one score late in the game. I mean, it was unbelievable when they play like that. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat us.
That was Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. And look, I think part of it is that the Colts defense hadn't played an offense anywhere near the caliber of the Chiefs. I don't think they'd played a top 10 offense.
No.
And the Chiefs are the number one offense, but not only are they the number one offense, I think they're one of the top 3 offenses by a country mile.
Right.
And so the difference between what the Colts had seen on offense and what they saw today was fairly significant. And I think they came in, they thought, hey, we're going to do what we do, that's what they talked about this week, right? Was like, hey, it's more about us. It's more about how we execute, how we play. But I think they came out and they found out that when they do what they do against a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, he carves them up in that zone. And he did that. He got the ball to Tyreek. He got the ball to Travis Kelce. Both of them had great games. But then there was one other guy who had a great game. How good was it to see Sammy Watkins out there? And not only to have Sammy out there, but be productive. I mean, he had the big 34-yard catch early in the game that really helped. That helped get them off to that hot start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, with Sammy, they really needed him out there. Tyreek needed him. Mahomes needed him. Kelce needed him. They needed that other difference maker that they'd been missing for a handful of weeks, and Sammy really hadn't played in the past 6. So I know a lot of people criticize him on a regular basis in my mentions on the Twitter about why they're paying him $16 million
per season.
Yeah,
for 3 years.
But today was one of those reasons why you paid him that money, because you learned last year in that Titans game when Kelce got hurt and you only had Tyreek at that point. You didn't have the other person to help get you through it. And I mean, you technically had Hunt last year, and obviously you don't this year. But
in terms of the passing game,
and so having all three of those guys on the field was what kept that zone coverage honest and kept their coverages honest, and really helped them be able to find the holes in the defense.
Well, and look, I mean, realistically, they did a fairly good job containing the wide receivers still. I mean, Watkins had that 34-yarder that I mentioned, but his other 5 catches only netted 28 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Hill had 8 catches, but he only averaged 9 yards a catch. 8 catches for 72 yards. Obviously, neither of those guys got a touchdown. But if you listen to this podcast, you knew that the Colts couldn't stop the tight end. They'd struggled with it all year. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 108 yards. He now has the most catches in postseason history for the Chiefs, and he's second behind some guy named Otis Taylor, who I hear they name awards after him too, in postseason receiving yards for the Chiefs. But let's hear from Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins himself about what it was like to be out there on the field and the impact he made.
Does to a defense, just with him being out there on the field, it's another accountability that they have to account for, and at the same time, it helps everyone around him, and it helps him because we're already rolling as an offense without him. So for him to come in is just it's huge, and his presence was definitely felt without a doubt.
It was good. We got the win, 31-13, and we didn't even play our best ball. That's the good part about it. We got to watch film, learn from it, and get ready for the next divisional round.
And all right, so that was Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins talking about the impact he made. One guy we haven't really mentioned yet a whole lot, Damian Williams, 25 carries, 129 yards. That's the third most rushing yards in a playoff game. Kind of quiet game. He did have the touchdown early that kind of got things going, but look, he did what the Chiefs needed him to do. And did you like the way that he was able to kind of be the hammer down the stretch when they needed it?
it was good to have today. I mean, he had the speed to even when he overran a couple of the holes, and then he found it and cut back to it. It wasn't as smooth as you would like overall, but I mean, he was able to get the job done today, and hopefully he learns from that. But yeah, I mean, you know what he gets. I mean, he made
helmet sticker.
He made part of franchise history today by helping get that win and having some huge moments for him.
Yeah. All right, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. Come back, finish this thing up here on 4th and 1. Welcome back to 4th and 1, guys. Here we are in the C block, talking about the Chiefs really dominating, I thought, the Indianapolis Colts in an AFC divisional playoff at Arrowhead. I mean, look, this is something that most Chiefs fans, certainly Chiefs fans under 30, have never experienced, have never seen. And what's coming next weekend is something that literally no Chiefs fan ever has experienced, because the Chiefs have never hosted an AFC championship game at Arrowhead Stadium. So, guys, we're in uncharted waters here. And I really hope that, especially now that the Chiefs have they've got the monkey up their back and won a home playoff game, and they did it against the team that's been arguably the biggest thorn in their side in the playoffs. Well, not arguably, the biggest thorn in their side in the playoffs. Hopefully, because last week, heading into the game, I think there's a lot of nervousness. You could sense it around town and talking to other fans, and interactions on social media. There was a lot of anxiety. I hope the fans can relax and enjoy this ride a little bit more this week. I know you're going to, right?
Oh, I mean, they're in my book. They're playing with house money now. They got accomplished what they needed to. I mean, this organization had a hurdle it hadn't been able to jump over, and it had been trying and trying and trying and trying, and it hadn't been able to do it. So we always had to talk about the pain of the no punt and the Lynn Elliott missed field goal and the blown
38-10.
Yeah, the blown game in Indy, and then also the collapse against the Titans at home. We had to bring all those up. You don't have to anymore. You remember that snow game whenever, as Todd likes to put it, when Winter
Storm Patrick?
Yeah, Winter Storm Patrick came. I mean, that's what I'm gonna name that. That's what I'm gonna name that game.
I appreciate it.
In honor of you. That's the name. So everybody retweet Dodd saying that hashtag. We're gonna name the game Winter Storm Patrick. You and I will always do that, just like I do the Rainmaker for Patrick.
Oh yeah. No, it worked. It worked out well, man. I mean, it couldn't have been a more perfect way to end. Hey, by the way, the other thing we talked about was how important 30 points was going to be. The Chiefs once again scored over 26 points. Here's an interesting fact, though. This is the fourth time the Chiefs have scored 31 or more points in a playoff game. What do you think their record is now in those 4 games?
Let's see, because they played the Colts twice and they had 30 in those.
Yeah.
And you said this is the 4th time?
Yep.
Then the other time would have been the Steelers game that they won, I thought.
No, that was 27-24. Yeah, you got to go all the way back to the conference championship before Super Bowl I.
Of course, a game I wasn't alive for. Okay.
Yeah, January 4th, January 1st, 1967.
I remember I was a little sunny, Jim.
Hey, man, that's 11 years before I was around even. So I don't even think, my mom hadn't even graduated college yet at that point.
Tough break, Todd.
So, but yeah, I mean, they were 1-2 in games they scored 31 points or more in the playoffs before this game. That was insane to me. If they're going to win the AFC Championship game, though, if they're going to get to Atlanta and playing that Super Bowl, what's got to improve?
Well, first,
because I thought penalties-wise, 6 penalties, 54 yards. That had been a real pain for this team. I thought they did an okay job with that.
Well, the penalties. I'm gonna.
They had some painful ones in the second half.
I'm going to call this individual out, but Cam Irving came back in the lineup and he had multiple penalties because he has that throughout the year. He has some iffy technique at times, and he has lapses in focus. So he has holds and he has false starts, and I wasn't surprised to see that happen when he came back in the lineup because it'd have been welcome that you didn't have those issues because those always put them behind the sticks, and it gets good defenses. The Chiefs they had their struggles with that. So
Eric Fisher had one too, but that was a soft penalty.
I remember Irving had at least 2, if not 4.
Yeah. I mean, a bunch of the penalties. It was mostly offensive line that was at fault,
right.
and a lot of them were third quarter when it kind of short circuited the offense.
Yes, it did. Somebody spilled coffee on the offensive line board. And then special teams, they got to get that protection fixed. Hopefully Dorian O'Daniel's back this week. Because
I don't know what that was.
Well, I know Dorian O'Daniel's kind of as Tobe likes to put it, a four-phase starter, and I think not having him out there, I think they kind of had to switch some things, and it wasn't as smooth because the Colts were regularly getting up the middle on those punts, and your boy Colquitt, he had to punt some of those. I know fans sounded a little upset on the broadcast when he punted one off the side of his foot, but he had to, because if he didn't, that dude was
punt number 2.
It was going to be number 2, and there was a couple others where they almost had him, and then Colquitt saved the game with the one he took on that penalty to help them score the game-winning drive.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's his MO. We knew that going in. MV Colquitt.
But I mean, those are one. And if the field conditions improve, to where you don't have snow and you don't have rain and it's just a cold day, I think the offense won't have the same sputters that they did in Saturday's game.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Eric Berry didn't play in this one.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
I mean, we talked with Therese about that in the pregame podcast, and look, man, if Eric's not going to play in this game, and maybe the field conditions, maybe the snow played a role in it. Maybe he thought he would hurt. I don't know. I don't know. But if he's not going to play in this game, I mean, I guess that's where we're at, huh?
Here's what
I just don't have anything more to add.
If he doesn't play in the AFC Championship game, and if they happen to make it to the Super Bowl and he doesn't play,
it's in his hometown.
If he doesn't happen to, then my question is, why wasn't he on IR?
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
that's hindsight in our aspect. But at the same time, I mean, you will brought him in for, hypothetically, if he doesn't play again, you brought him in for 2 games where he didn't even play full games in either one of them. After you paid him all that money. I understand that he had the injury and he was coming back from it, but Chris Conley was able to come back from his. And I understand that he's got a different aspect to the injury and everything.
The Hagelin's deformity.
Yeah, but I just, my thing is, I don't know. I mean, even if you have the surgery, it's going to be a long recovery. So I don't know I just don't know if he's ever going to be the same player again if he has to go down that road and go through that, and then at that point he may be 32, and it's not going to be good.
Honestly, at this point, the possibility of a medical retirement in the coming months that has to be a possibility. That has to be something that's at least on the minds of the Chiefs front office and on Eric Berry himself. I don't know where he's at. I mean, obviously we haven't had a chance to talk with him a lot, and it's not like he texts me what he's thinking week to week or anything like that. But he hasn't played 100 snaps in the last. I mean, he's barely played 100 snaps in the last 2 full seasons, and if he's not going to play in this game with everything that it meant, and you saw what it meant to the guys like Justin Houston, who played out of his mind, who had 2 sacks, and I'm sure that Eric Berry wants to be out there. This is not about whether I think that Berry. I think Eric Berry absolutely wants to be part of what happened on Saturday. The fact that he either doesn't trust it enough to go or physically can't says to me that maybe we've seen the last of Eric Berry.
It's going to be a very interesting week. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So, anyway, one other injury that probably had lumps in the throats.
Oh, I got nervous when I saw that one.
Yeah, it looked like Mahomes. It was on a left-handed incompletion, and it looked like as he was getting tackled by a Colts player, kind of fell down. I thought it looked like he kind of hyperextended his knee on the helmet to the other player as he was falling. But let's hear from Patrick about that moment in what was it, the second quarter, or was it still first?
When the second quarter.
When he got up a little bit gimpy and was stretching out the old leg there. The old right knee, right?
It feels fine now. I mean, it was a little cold out there, so it was kind of aching for a second. But once you get that adrenaline going again, it feels fine. I haven't felt anything since the game's ended.
Well, that's good news.
Rest easy right now.
Yeah. Elevate it, ice, maybe get a massage.
Rick Merkel, they'll get that taken care of.
By the way, I tweeted Saturday morning before the game. I retweeted
I
your Joe Montana
I saw.
clip, and I asking people, telling people, look, I was 16, I was a sophomore in high school at the time, and then where I am today now.
Yep.
And asked other people to tell me. One of the people who replied was Rick Burkholder.
Yeah, no, yeah, Rick. He definitely replied to you.
Yeah,
he doesn't to me very often.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was fun for me.
It should be. You should feel honored, and you should screenshot that and cherish it forever.
Print it off, see if he'll autograph it this week.
Yeah, give it a whirl, man. I mean, I don't know if he'll be around you for you to talk to him, but
I know that it's frowned upon. Like all the times I asked Patrick Mahomes for autographs in the locker room, very frowned upon.
I know, and like whenever I asked Kelsey to sign my microphone one time, apparently that was unprofessional.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I think it's okay to ask tennis players to sign the lens of your camera, but anything else is off limits. But I don't know what the rules are for head athletic trainers. So I guess we're going to find out.
Rick, if you're listening, we're
Chiefs PR staff, you're on red alert.
Let's figure this out.
When you see me with the Sharpie, you'll know why. All right. Last thing here. Do you care whether it's the Patriots or the Chargers? And we're going to have an answer soon enough. But for anybody who's listening before the Patriots-Chargers game on Sunday, do you care?
Selfishly, I really, really want to see the Patriots at Arrowhead. I just want to see that Mahomes versus Brady, and hypothetically, potentially that torch being passed to where, for all the national media that was doubting Mahomes and when saying how great Drew Brees was, I want to see Belichick, and I want to see Brady here, and I want to see the Chiefs be able to take that next step as an organization. Whether they're able to do it or not, I don't really care. Like I said, they're playing with house money, but I really want to see a rematch of that game from the middle of the year. And the Chargers got a ton of weapons, and I think the Chiefs would it would be a shootout like we expected some of this Colts game to potentially be if they'd had the run game going and perform better. But that Chargers defense is playing really well. That offense is playing really well, and I could totally see the Chargers being the team that comes in here, and it would not surprise me one bit. Selfishly, I want to see Brady versus Mahomes.
Here's what I'll say. I don't really care because I think the Chiefs are going to beat whoever comes to them next week. I just think that this team is on a roll, and I don't think either one of those teams is equipped to come in and win that game at Arrowhead.
And I will say that I mean, from listening to the locker room sound, those guys are on a mission, and they're focused on a way I haven't heard a Chiefs team be before. And I'm not just trying to say this like I'm saying like. These guys aren't really that excited about winning this game.
I think
it
goes back
phenomenal.
I think it goes back to 2003, and of course they didn't get to win a playoff game, so you didn't get to hear how they reacted to that. But that 2003 team, I thought had the same vibe. That they knew the Colts were going to be a tough test. Yep. Obviously, Manning and company they're pretty good, but I didn't get the feeling that they. We're going to be satisfied with that.
I just feel like
they were number 2 seed in the conference that year and things like that. And but yeah, I mean this team certainly is not satisfied.
Yeah, just from what I've heard from Andy, Mahomes, and Houston, I think those are your 3 leaders, and I think those guys are the ones setting the tempo. And I think everybody's following, and everybody has bought in to where they're doing everything that they can to give everything that they have to reach this goal.
So and here's the thing: I'll take my chances against Phillip Rivers in an AFC Championship game on the road. But I'm with you. I want the Patriots. And you can go with the cliche. If you're gonna be the best, you got to beat the best. And look, the Patriots have been kings for a long time, man. They've had a nice 17-year run. Atop the AFC.
I just think this is the chance nationally that people accept that it's potentially
the other thing is it's either the death throes of the the Patriots dynasty, and maybe the Brady Belichick combo has one more flurry left in them, one more Super Bowl run left in them. But I really think if they come into Arrowhead and they get beat, I'm not saying that Brady's going to retire at that point, but I think that you're exactly right. That the torch will have been passed at that point. It will the AFC will now belong to Patrick Mahomes if that happens. I would love to see it happen. And based on the results of the Twitter poll, it's only been up a couple hours, but 72% of Chiefs fans that responded to the poll I put up on Twitter, and there were over 600 of them in the first couple hours that was up there. They want the Patriots too by 72%. It's a landslide. You always see that "We want Bama" chants. I want some "We want Brady" signs all around town.
Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah, go Pocky Khan, Harvard Yacht. Hey, let's hear real quick from Mahomes and Houston about who they want, man. Are they going to cheer for "We want Brady"? Did Houston say he wants Brady?
Yeah, I mean,
I was trying to hit it 3 different times and had to
both
stop.
of them are really, really good teams who've had a lot of experience.
Don't at me, bro.
So,
You were pump faking
we're going to
me each
prepare whenever we figure out who we're going to get to play. But we're excited for the opportunity that we get to play at home and we get the chance to win a game to get to the Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter. We'll be ready for whoever steps foot in this house.
All right. Well, I'm a little disappointed. I definitely wanted Houston to say that he wanted Brady's head on a spike or something. I guess I don't know what I was expecting.
I'm saying for Houston to say
I wanted it to go completely tribal.
the way that Houston said that, and the way that he said that, like that, he's already setting the tempo for next week when he says it doesn't matter. The way he said it, like I'm telling you, man, like that's a silent confidence where you really don't have to say anything. Like I was impressed with that response.
Well, and it reminds me, we talked about the Colts and how they were talking about how we're going to do what we do. There aren't many teams, there aren't many players. Everybody says that. That's the mentality lots of guys talk about. But there aren't many players like Patrick Mahomes who can say like, "No, it's about us. I mean, we're going to go out there, we're going to do what we do." And
you sound like he's a character on The Sopranos.
You try and stop us, and we'll see what you can do. And I mean, so far. Nobody's really been able to do it. So
I will say, if Mahomes and his family are listening, they're appreciative that you didn't do a Kermit voice. That you made him sound like he's like he'd be on a Goodfellas movie.
Look, I do have a very good Kermit impression. People who've heard it before, but I'm not going to go that route. Plus, I can't get the gravel, and I don't have the East Texas gravel to do it. But you know what? We'll definitely bust it out. Maybe if we get...
It's a solid pass for me.
Maybe after the Chiefs win next week and we get sent to Atlanta to cover the Super Bowl, because I'm sure that's happening. But when that happens, I don't know who I need to talk to. Is that another request or demand for Kerry? I don't know. We'll talk about it off air. But if and when that, maybe I should go down and on the Tuesday when everybody gets to ask the funny questions or whatever, I'll ask all the questions in my Kermit voice. How's that?
Good luck to you.
All right, guys. Hey, we hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Stay safe out there. Hope you got some power, and everybody's safe on the roads. Enjoy just enjoy the week, man. Just enjoy it.
Say goodbye, Todd.
Goodbye, Todd.